1045 The Team, your home for New York sports, and right now getting you ready for your fantasy football drafts. On the phone from Yahoo, Liz Loza. So, Liz, this is the first time we've had the pleasure of speaking to you. So, let's just start with your, everybody's got a draft premise. They start with a theory, rules they stick to. What are your rules? So, is it quarterback late? What is it?
I mean, throw those out the door and out the window and get the value where you can. I think my colleague Scott Pianowski often says the best draft strategy is one that wins. I think that's true this year, and every year, it changes because the talent pool shifts. This year, you mentioned quarterback late. It's a wildly deep position. So yes, I am going late on quarterback. I have been consistently targeting Matt Stafford in the 8th, sometimes 9th rounds. Jimmy Garoppolo is available in the 9th round. I'm a believer. I live in Los Angeles. I've seen the Rams, but I understand that there is a renewed rivalry now between the 49ers and the Rams. But Jimmy G can operate. I'm not worried about his weapons. High tides raise all boats. Those are two guys that Kirk Cousins, even though he looked not so great in preseason action week 2, he's another, bottom of the 7th, early 8th round option. So those three guys, if I can get them later, I don't even worry about a quarterback until the 8th round.
See, I love that you said that because I'm all in on Jimmy Garoppolo, and I got Gaz over here who's still sending love letters to Case Keenum. So I feel like you and I are melding already.
Jimmy Garoppolo makes me feel like a Shawn Mendes song. I just can't. I think his talent is too good. He's, and the fact that he was able to digest Kyle Shanahan's playbook in a month and then rip off 5 wins and throw more danger plays and succeed at them in those 5 weeks than Tom Brady did in 16 starts, that is something. Matt Ryan, it took him an entire season to handle Shanahan's playbook. Garoppolo's just ahead of the curve. I'm originally from Chicago. So is he. So maybe I'm being biased, but I don't care. Jimmy GQ is a great option this year.
I have to go to the story on Yahoo Sports because the thing we've learned also is about understanding your league settings, your league scoring, and all of these things. But something happened to you involving a woman who had gone into labor. For those who haven't read the story yet that's on Yahoo now, take us through that whole experience of what happened.
Yeah, I was in back-to-back-to-back meetings because there's a lot of content being produced on Yahoo right now, exciting stuff. And, I, like everyone else, that kid in elementary school or even high school when the projector, I'm probably giving away my age a little bit, when the projector went on, I looked out the window because I just couldn't do it. So now we have these wonderful mobile devices to keep us from paying attention to anything. So I was looking instead of paying attention on Twitter, saw a guy tweeted that his wife was currently in labor, but her at Yahoo Fantasy draft was coming up in a couple of hours, and she was refusing to auto draft. And so he was like, I guess I'll be making picks between her screens. I don't really know here. And so I was like, well, this is ridiculous. I will draft for her. And I tweeted it back to him, and he was like, really? And I was like, yes, come on, she's in labor. I get paid a moderate amount of money to do this, and I'm happy to. So I was in a building full of engineers. I called them, and I have to say our product team was amazing. And I was like, you guys built this. You know all of the math. You have to be able to figure out a hack. They were like, we'll get on it. I jumped onto the freeway, raced home, drafted a team for her. She apparently was very happy with Kirk Cousins as her quarterback, so she didn't mind going late. She also liked Cooper Kupp as her wide receiver 3. I finished drafting the team. Her husband sent me a message saying, could she review it? And I was like, her contractions are 30 seconds apart, but no problem. Because she's that much of a diehard. I sent him a picture of the team, and he posted a photo of her reviewing it while in labor in the hospital bed. So, end of the story, it was a wild ride. She got a team that she is apparently happy with, and most importantly, a gorgeous, healthy baby boy.
Liz Loza of Yahoo. If you're in an emergency situation and you need your draft done, it sounds like you can break the glass and go with Liz.
I like to think that firefighters are heroes, but if I can be a fantasy hero, then I'll take take it.
Liz, you and I are on the same page with Jimmy Garoppolo. One of the running backs that I like that a lot of people are hot or cold on is Miami's Kenyon Drake. What's your feelings on him?
Oh, I've been ice cold on him since all of this started to come into play. I would say, in June, everybody was assuming he'd be the starter, and yes, he put up some incredible metrics at the end of last year. He was absolutely slippery, and his breakaway run rate, say that 3 times, even as radio professionals, was lit, as the kids say. But that's a month. Like, he had a great December. I am not drafting a running back in the top 20 picks based on that sample size, especially when the knock against this kid coming out of college was that he wasn't an every down back. And after Gase added Frank Gore, everyone's like, oh, but come on, he's so old. Yeah, he may not be efficient, but he continues to produce. And I don't think that the team would have added Gore if they trusted Drake at the goal line. And I don't care if we're talking PPR, half-point PPR, standard scoring leagues. 6 is more than 1. And also, Kenyon Drake's not that great of a pass catcher. I think he had like the 5th most drops among running backs last season. They also added Kalen Ballage, a rookie. Yes, he's been a disaster, driving the struggle bus all summer, but he could develop. Like, the season is 16 weeks long. There is an opportunity for him to start to eat into Kenyon Drake's volume as the season progresses. So is Kenyon Drake a nice option at RB3 if you can get him there? Sure. Am I paying a top 24 price for him? No way.
Liz, I'm just going to mark that down as a mild disagreement. That's
Liz, give us some wide receivers, some running backs, late round draft picks that you're excited about. If it's like 12 through 14, maybe 10 through 14 rounds, and say, if they're still on the board, I want this person on my team and for this reason.
All right, I am all over Mike Williams of the Los Angeles Chargers. He is basically a tight end playing receiver. He was a first-round pick in 2017, NFL pick, not fantasy pick. And he had a bust of a season. Like, he was hurt a month after he was drafted, tried to work through it. That caused a cascade of other issues. It stemmed from his back. He was completely ineffective, but he missed out on reps, didn't get onto the field. This season, he's healthy. Again, huge specimen, impressive catch radius, can dominate in the red zone. We saw that in the second week of preseason action. And, oh, hey, who hasn't been re-signed yet? Antonio Gates, who's lost for the season. Hunter Henry. Those are the team's 2 biggest red zone threats. I think Mike Williams has a 6 to 7 touchdown season in him, absolutely, and he is a great value. I love him as my wide receiver 3, and he's going in the 10th round. You wanted a 12th round pick? Is that was
sure? Yeah, I'm taking some notes right now. So yes, 12th would be
totally
good as well. We're playing against each other, so yeah.
You're basically drafting a pregnant woman's team again, but it's Gaz this time.
Awesome. I can feel the cause. So I like Kenny Golladay a lot as well. He's this is his second season. A lot of draftniks liked him in his rookie year, but he came out of Northern Illinois University, so he didn't have that big school pedigree, but he's incredible. Again, a nice, long, tall receiver, huge catch radius. He started last season with an exclamation point. He scored 2 touchdowns right away, got hurt, and then again, he lost reps. And when you're a young player and you're not on the field, getting those reps is so important. And if you look at Marvin Jones's target volume, when Kenny Golladay was on the field versus when he was off, it is wildly different. Marvin Jones, people chasing his stats last year need to think about the fact that Kenny Golladay was injured for a bulk of the middle portion of the season. Golladay is going to score, again, 7 touchdowns. I mean, I think a 10-touchdown season is within his reach. He was running in 2 wide sets. I am believing in Babytron. I actually think the Lions, I got a good feeling about them. And again, I grew up in Chicago, so it's not usual that I will tout the Lions, but this Kerryon Johnson, the running back, I'm high on him. They added a nice center, Frank Ragnow, who's getting great grades from PFF to their line. And now they've got Kenny Golladay working the perimeter, and the end zone, I think he can definitely live up to the hashtag Babytron expectation.
I love that. Yahoo Fantasy Football expert Liz Loza with us. And Liz, before we let you go, because I could literally pick your brain all day, are there some, no matter what, don't pick these guy players on your list?
No matter what. So I think at quarterback, no matter what, I'm not drafting Andrew Luck. Could he return to form? Maybe. But again, because the position is so stinking deep, you don't need to make that gamble, especially not with his number one receiver banged up with a shoulder injury. You know, Hilton's not 100% healthy, and who do they have behind him? You really going to take a gamble on Ryan Grant? There's no Dante Moncrief, who was never good, but also at least was, you know, an end zone threat. Jack the Dad Doyle is your biggest end zone threat because Eric Ebron can't catch balls, and he's been on the field, at least during the preseason, for 65% fewer snaps than Jack Doyle. So when I look at Andrew Luck, I just think, why do this when I can have a Garoppolo or a Stafford or a Cousins? Also at running back, LaShawn McCoy, like he's working through a hip injury. Let's separate ourselves a little bit from even the off-field stuff. While he could be suspended, he's also entering his age 30 season. That's traditionally been a cliff for the position. And what field stretchers are available on that offense to make any room for him? So, I mean, we don't even know a quarterback. They're trying to convince themselves that A.J. McCarron's collarbone isn't broken enough to not start him. This seems ludicrous to me. McCoy is going as like an RB12 to RB14, and he's 30 years old, possibly facing suspension, and going to see a whole lot of stacked boxes. That, to me, is a constant avoid.
Love it, man. Liz Loza, Yahoo Fantasy Football. Like, seriously, we could pick your brain all day. We appreciate you, and if it's cool with you, we'll hit you up during the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just do one more tight end because I'm in a generous mood, or are you guys on?
Yes, please.
The show is yours. Go nuts. I love it.
All right. You know, I was a little hesitant about Trey Burton because coming over from the Eagles and moving to Chicago, because this time last year, a lot of people were hyping Adam Shaheen, who's a bigger, stronger, pass-catching tight end who Matt Nagy also said had these really natural hands. But now that dude's out indefinitely with a foot issue. I think Trey Burton, especially with a young, developing quarterback, is going to see a lot of end zone action. He is my tight end 6, and he is still at a decent value. Now, in a week, if you draft on Sunday, which is National Draft Day at Yahoo, maybe you won't get him that cheap, but if you're drafting this week, I think you could still get a value on him. And lastly, Delaney Walker, he has been an Iron Man at the position, super consistent since he landed, frankly, in Tennessee back in 2013. I am fading him this year. He has a toe issue. It's very quiet. People aren't talking about it, but toes often turn into turf toes, and that becomes a problem. I know Jordan Reed is like always injured, but that has been a consistent injury for him. And behind Delaney Walker is a guy named Jonnu Smith, who's a second-year tight end and a 92nd percentile spark athlete who flashed at the beginning of last year and I think could turn into something and that they could use much more frequently. So I think Delaney Walker, he's been a steady Eddie, but this is the year he busts.
So National Draft Day is also on my birthday. That's awesome. I'm excited about this.
Nice.
Well, you can get wings and cake on your birthday.
I listen. I do that every day. But Liz, we love you. We'll check out your stuff at Yahoo Fantasy Sports, Yahoo Fantasy Football. You're a firecracker, man. We dig you. Anytime you want to come on and just drop knowledge, we'll take you.
Oh my God! Give me a free bed and breakfast in the Catskills, and I could live nearby. Done. We're
going to work on that. We're going to get some sponsors going.
Have a good one, guys. Thanks so much.